Edgar Griffin, December 7, 1924, and I was born in León, Guanajuato, Mexico. My father was from West Virginia and United States, of course, and then my mother was born in León, Guanajuato. They meet in El Paso, Texas, and they got married in El Paso. When my father had an opportunity to do business somewhere in some state in Mexico, he would be going with my mother for maybe as long as 6 months. So then I would go with him, and he would put me in a private school wherever they went to. I came to the United States somewhere in 1938, and Los Angeles, 39, I suppose, I think it was. Since I was alone and I didn't know anyone in the United States, I depended very much on the school. So this teacher found me a job as a houseboy in Los Angeles. And I spent my time before the war in doing housework. The day I enlisted in the Army, I remember, was in September 25th, 1943. During the time that I was in the service, and especially in training, I wanted to stay longer and see my mom, because my mother, I haven't seen her for since 1938, 39 when I came. It's been 4 years, 5 years I haven't seen her. So I never forget this friend of mine, the one that helped me write that letter. His last name was Goodwin, and he insisted constantly, he insisted for me to write the letter to Mrs. Roosevelt. And he mentioned, he says, "What can you lose? I'll help you if you want me to. I go with you and we both write the letter." This is Mrs. Roosevelt. This is the wife of the President of the United States. What is he going to put attention to me of all the millions of soldiers that are in need? No, I says, you can lose. So your letter of recent date addressed to Mrs. Roosevelt has been referred to this office for a response. If your mother is an American citizen, she is not subject to the immigration laws. She should take up the case with the nearest American consul, which they did, and that took care of it. I received training in Camp Roberts, California, and the training was 17 weeks. After training, I was in Camp Roberts. I was sent to Fort Benning, Georgia. During the time of me finishing training at Camp Roberts, California, I was already assigned to go on a packet of 10,000 troops to go to the Pacific. That was no secret. Everybody knew that they were lined up to the Pacific. I said, well, once I go overseas, there's no chance for me to secure that I'm going to see my mother at all. Once you were like that you had to give up everything. I went to see the chaplain. The chaplain didn't help me. Then he advised me to see the general, the boss of Camp Roberts. I went to see him. He didn't even see me. He sent his secretary, whoever. They didn't put attention to me. I went to see the doctor, and by chance, I said to him my story. And the doctor said, oh yes, he says, you can be off of the packet that goes to overseas, but you have to volunteer. Volunteer for what? I said, for the airborne. You volunteer for the airborne, and they scratch you off in no time, real fast. And once they saw my name, that the only person in the whole battalion, and in training, the battalion is big. It's not 500-600 men. It's 1,000, over 1,000 men. Well, out of the whole 1,000, only one volunteered for the airborne. But in those days, only the fellows that were looking for glory, I guess, because believe me, I was an idiot to volunteer for the airborne. Airborne training is given to everyone, including officers, and they go along taking the training like with a private like myself, but we ourselves don't know each other. We don't know the ranks. I myself didn't know that I was running around with a full colonel. Not until we received our wings, then we knew who the person was. We were in the training where you're supposed to be alert at all times, and they drop sacks of sand on you. They camouflage these sacks, and as you walk through the bushes or whatever, they let these sacks fall. Well, this colonel was walking right along with me, and in the corner of my eye I heard something, and I saw a big bundle coming down. So it just gave me enough time to push this colonel out of the way. Well, this colonel was Colonel Williams, and he was a small man. It wasn't big, heavy frame man. And I happened to see him again during the time of the war in Paris. I asked for a job to drive. That morning, I woke up late, and when I went to the motor pool, the sergeant said, I'm sorry, Ed, but we don't have any more trucks. They all out, unless you want a staff car. But if you got a staff car, you have to go to Paris. And you're going to be out there 3 months driving an officer. And I said, that's okay, as long as it's Paris, I'm going out there. So I went. I report to the colonel, and it happened to be Colonel Williams, the one that I pushed out in training. Went to that. So when we went to the invasion, we didn't know. We didn't know what was going to take place. The only thing we knew was the section where we were going to land, where they're going to drop us. That we knew. But we didn't know when or how or whatever. We only knew at the time that the general came to say good luck to us and so on, General Eisenhower. And then we loaded the planes and we went on to France. We had C-47s, and they carry between 19 and 20 paratroopers in each plane. It takes at least 9 to 10 planes to load a company. I was in the 2nd Battalion of Company B, 2nd Battalion of the 502 Regiment, of the 101st. This particular photograph was taken right after they took our pictures inside of the plane. They asked us to come out on the plane to take the group. And since I was standing in the back of the plane, I didn't get a chance to stand with the rest. I stood at the door. The picture was taken June 6, 1944, early in the afternoon. It was still light. We weren't ready to take off yet. The only thing was that when we went in the plane, they took another picture, which is that one there. Okay. And on there, I'm standing at the end. Most of us didn't say nothing. We were just staring at each other, looking at each other. There was no joking or no laughing of anyone, because we all knew that we were heading for something that we probably wouldn't be back, because we've seen it before, and we know that we didn't have a chance. And then on top of that, I happened to be sitting across the door of the plane, and I could see very easy when they were hit. And whenever a plane was hit, that's the end. That would be that 20 men have gone. So 2 of our planes were hit on that trip. So that means we lost 40 paratroopers. That's only on the air before they even left the plane. Now later, when reorganized, we were supposed to be 170. And we were only 35. That's when we reorganized in the ground. The first thing that we were anxious was to get out of that plane, and we couldn't get out of the plane until the green light would go on the plane. Once we get out of the plane, at least we hope not to get hit, because flares are coming back and forth and shooting at you. You can feel the bullets next to you when you're coming down. And you have no time really to see where you're going to land. You just hope that you land in a safe place. The minute you hit the ground, you're looking for cover. And the worst part about it is that not all the time there is light. It's just light and dark, light and dark. And in that instant that you have light, you look and see where you can run for cover. At the same time, you do that looking for the weapons.